This video was digitized from reel of silent 8mm film, and it's of the Korean War, and this is Airbase K14, also known as Kimpo Air Base, and this was shot by a U.S. Air Force member by the name of Norbert Schlecht, and during December 1952 to October 1953. And I do have a longer version of his film. He had actually two 7-inch reels of film that I acquired, and those actually are some RAAF 51 Mustangs, and you'll hear me refer to the RF on some of these nomenclatures, and that was a aerial reconnaissance modified plane, because Norbert Schlecht was with the 67th Tactical Reconnaissance Wing, and they flew reconnaissance aircraft, predominantly the RB-26 Invader, the RF-86 Sabre, the RF-80 Shooting Star, and that was their primary inventory of aircraft. And there's a RF-51 Mustang, and yeah, just some great footage here. And I'll point out Norbert Schlecht too. He makes a lot of cameo appearances here in this film, which is just great, you know. And this, I believe, is an RF-80 Shooting Star, and they had this version had the nose gear modified to accommodate cameras, and then here's an RF-86 Sabre, and like I say, that they were used as reconnaissance aircraft. And here's a couple of RF-80 Shooting Stars taking off. And here's a CU-119 flying boxcar, which wasn't in their inventory, but you know, there was a lot of different squadrons flying out of K-14 at this time, and yeah, the gentleman to the left, that is who I believe is Norbert Schlecht, and like I say, you'll see him appear here throughout. And this is actually him in one of these RB-26 Invaders on a combat mission. And we'll see a lot of this throughout the film. And I'm not too sure what his role was on board. You know, you'll see he has stripes on it as a listed man through the video. So he's a crew member, you know, not a pilot or co-pilot, but I'm not too sure exactly what his function on board would have been. And then here we are at K-14. And like I said, I'm going to stick around through this this video and just, you know, let it roll and just pop in just to clarify or to point some things out. So I'll just let it roll on here, and I'll just usually I'd put in some background music, but I think I'm going to be jumping in pretty often, so I'm just going to let it roll silently and then just jump in to make clarifications or point things out to you. And that right there is actually an RB-26 Invader being pulled out there. And you can see it was a twin propeller plane, and it was originally used as a bomber, but like I say, in this application, it was modified with photo reconnaissance equipment. This is actually a Royal Australian Air Force Meteor jet, and it was from Squadron number 77. And you'll see a few more of these later on in the video. And also Norbert Schlecht, actually, he must have had a liaison with him, because you'll see he's wearing an Australian military hat later on in the video. So yeah, he must have had a good relationship with them. This is actually one of those Douglas RB-26 Invaders with one of its engines getting overhauled or changed out. And here's who I believe is Norbert Schlecht again. And yeah, it's just great to actually see who produced, most of this footage. Looks like, and then here they are. Let's keep on rolling here. Here they are going to chow, obviously. And this young Korean here would have been what we would have called in the when I was in Korea in '82, almost 30 years later, a houseboy, and he would have taken care of all the needs of the airmen there, and washing their clothes, shining their boots, taking care of all those, making their rack and so forth, and here we are in the air on a combat mission in a Douglas RB-26 Invader, and there's actually quite a bit of this footage in here, and I don't know what airfield that is. I don't know if that's an aerial view of K-14. How to assume so there at Kimpo, and yeah, like I say, there's actually quite a bit of aerial footage in this, which is really nice. And I don't know what Norbert Schlecht's function was on this plane. He was enlisted, as you could see from the stripes, but on his uniform. But so he wasn't a pilot, just a crew member. And here they are, probably either returning or getting ready to take off. I think maybe getting ready to take off, because here in some footage coming up, you're going to see they're actually putting on some of their flight gear right here. Yeah, and just some great footage of one of these RB-26s as these guys are preparing to take off on a combat mission. And here we have Norbert Schlecht again, making another appearance. And by the looks of that sign he's holding, maybe he just re-enlisted. You can see he's wearing his Australian hat, as I mentioned earlier, and he's wearing the stripes of a staff sergeant. And so I would think a staff sergeant would probably be a career airman. And here's another look at those Royal Australian Air Force Meteor jets from Squadron 77 taxiing here on the runway. And I do believe this would have been his RB-26 Invader, My Bell. This is the first time we're seeing the name of it, but we'll see it again. And this is actually a Marine Corps F2H-2P Banshee from Squadron VMJ-1, which was a Marine Photo Reconnaissance Squadron there in Korea. And, you know, I'm not too familiar with all those accoutrements are there on his, you know, fuselage, but there's an awful lot of them. So if you know, please comment. Being a reconnaissance plane, I don't think he was been shooting anything down. Maybe it was photo missions. And here's just a great look at an RB-26 Invader getting ready, taxiing, getting ready to take off. And you can see there's a bunch of them, and that's My Bell again. And this footage here is pretty interesting. It's, you know, it looks like an isolated, maybe an artillery round or a missile strike, because, you know, you don't see a lot of extensive damage. You know, you see this one crater right here, and then you'll see a lot of subsequent shrapnel damage in the side of buildings and or, you know, Quonset huts and tents, and looks like a fuel tank of maybe one of the RF-80s. And yeah, just I couldn't find anything online about this. And like I said, it looks like it may have been just an isolated, maybe an artillery or missile strike here. But it definitely left a nice sized crater. And you'll see as the video rolls on here, all the shrapnel damage. There it is in the side of one of these Quonset huts, all the holes. And here it looks like it, like I say, it looks like it penetrated a fuel tank. Doesn't look like that pan's catching too much of it. And more shrapnel damage to the side of this Quonset hut. Like I said, it looks like it was just an isolated strike. And there it looks like a hit on the side of one of the planes. Another shrapnel hit right there. And this looks like something made out of wood didn't survive the attack. Yeah, Kimpo K14 is only about 30 miles south of the 38th parallel, and it's about 9 miles west of the center of Seoul, the capital of South Korea. There's another shrapnel hole in that top of that tent. So it was right up, where the fighting was around the 38th parallel. So it's definitely reasonable that it could have taken an artillery or a rocket or a missile shell. And there's another look at that Marine Corps F2H-2P Banshee. A nice close-up look at the RF-86 Sabre. You can see right up front there was 3 of her 6 machine gun ports, and they were 12.7 millimeters each. You had 3 on each side. And here, hanging from the wing of this RB-26 is, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think those are some sort of illuminary bombs or devices, because just from doing some reading on the 67th Tactical Recon Wing, they would illuminate their target and then photograph it. So, it mentions them dropping like illumination bombs, and that would light up the target, and then they can get a nice picture of it. And here's the Royal Australian Air Force 77th Squadron building, and yeah, right around this this time frame, that Royal Australian Air Force Squadron played a leading role in the destruction of a large North Korean convoy on the 16th of March, and 2 meteors discovered a line of some 140 vehicles in a mountain pass south of Wonsan, halted it by destroying trucks in the front and rear of the convoy, and then called in further support from Kimpo and the U.S. Air Force. The Australian aircraft eventually claimed 24 trucks out of a total of 90 vehicles destroyed or damaged by UN forces. And Squadron 77 was credited with downing its last MiG southeast of Pyongyang on the 27th of March. And squadron leader Leonard McGlinchey became its final wartime fatality when his Meteor crashed while taking off from Kimpo on the 16th of July of that year. So, and actually that could be his plane right there, Squadron Leader Len McGlinchey, since this would have been right at that time frame. I can't confirm it, but that's definitely a Meteor, and it definitely is crashed. So yeah, just very, very interesting piece of footage right there. Squadron Leader Thomas McGlinchey was actually serving with number 91 Composite Wing when he was killed here at Kimpo Airfield. He was serving on attachment to the 77th Squadron. But, yeah, this would have been right at the exact same time period. That looks like July. Looks like the summer, and this was definitely 1953. And here's another RB-26 taking off. And I'm not too sure what this aircraft. It almost looks like one of those F-2H-2P Banshees that you saw earlier that the Marine Corps was flying. It's kind of hard for me to tell. I don't have an Air Force background. You know, leave a comment. But it definitely looks like it probably crashed on takeoff or landing, just like that RAAF Meteor that I was just describing a minute ago. Yeah, it's hard for me to tell. And you know, now we're back here looking at my Bell, the RB-26. That, you know, it had to have been Norbert Schlecht's plane. And some more damage footage. That definitely looks like an engine off one of the RB-26s. And now we're back up in the air in an RB-26 flying with Staff Sergeant Norbert Schlecht. And say I have no idea, you know, where they're flying over. But I would definitely assume it's you know, over enemy or questionable territory. Yeah, really no better way to end this film than a little, you know, selfie of Staff Sergeant Norbert Schlecht up in his RB-26 Invader on a combat mission during the Korean War, flying out of Kimpo Air Base, K-14. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Like and subscribe. I try to upload military and patriotic videos to my site every other day. And if you're interested in a good read, check out my books at www.edsemler.com.